Or we are supposed to be live, so let's go. Can we all please give a nice round of applause welcome to Sarah Longfield?
Hello.
Is this your first time at Guitar Summit?
Yeah, yep. It's been pretty awesome so far. My sleep schedule's all messed up though. So
When did you fly in?
Tuesday, but I just can't seem to kick the jet lag. So it's like I'll be asleep during the day, awake all night.
Oh, well look, thank you so much for coming on and spending some time with us here today. If I'm totally honest with you, I'm not super familiar with a lot of the music that you've done. I've only started sort of listening to it in preparation for the interview. So give us a little bit of a backstory behind what first drew you to want to pick up the guitar and the kind of players that were perhaps inspiring you, and at what age that happened.
Yeah, okay. Well, it was kind of an accident, like literally the entire thing. I took violin in elementary school, and then the teacher moved away, and I was like, oh no. And then I got a guitar for Christmas one year, and I was like, this instrument sucks.
Oh.
I totally hated it. I was like, it's really boring. And then I got a couple free guitar lessons, like 4 of them with the guitar that I bought. And for the first 3, I was like, man, this really does suck. This guy's teaching me all this stuff that I hate. And then for the 4th one, there was a substitute, and he showed me like some Slayer licks and stuff, and I was like, okay, this might not suck. This is fun, and I could play them. He showed me some other metal riffs, and I could play them like fast. And I was kind of like a spazzy little kid, and so then I was like, okay, I can play this instrument really fast and really aggressively, and so I was locked in.
And how old are you here at this point?
Like 12, I think, 12 or 13.
It's like the perfect age, and I wish tutors would just take the time to ask the 12-year-old kid, what kind of music do you like,
Yeah.
before just launching in and teaching them a load of stuff that they don't like, because it's so easy to give up right at that
Yes.
age. So, okay, so you're a big metal, were you a metal fan anyway? Is that what appealed?
No, I had never heard any metal music.
So
It was
literally
just
your first introduction to Slayer was your guitar tutor in your 4th lesson?
Yep, in the 4th lesson, just at the very end. He was like, yeah, you should check out these bands. And then I would go to Best Buy, and I would just look for CDs that looked metal. I was like, that looks like it might be metal, and accidentally picked up Meshuggah's Catch 22, or Catch 33, my bad. And a few other ones, like an All Shall Perish record and Black Dahlia Murder. And I was like, yeah, this is sick. And I didn't know guitar tabs existed. I didn't know, couldn't read music. And so I would just either listen and teach myself, or I would YouTube had just started happening.
Mm-hmm.
It was in its absolute infancy. But there was a few people on YouTube that would cover some songs. And so I would just monkey see, monkey do, kind of.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then if they did it wrong, I would be like, oh, I think it's actually like this. And then that was just how that started. And the reason I even started YouTube was I saw this girl who played these Lamb of God songs. Her name was Megan the Metal Queen.
Right.
And she played all the rhythm parts. And I was like, well, I know all the lead parts. Maybe I should make a YouTube video. And so I did, and I made a few of them, and they went pretty well considering it was 2007 and I was a child, using my parents' digital camera. And then I made a few of those, and one of them kind of blew up on Twitter also in its infancy. And then there was some notoriety around that, and as a kid I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I got into high school and I was like, this is stupid. So then I was like, I'm going to be an artist. I don't want to do music. And then I just didn't. But I was so bad at school. Sorry, I'm just kind of going on.
No, it's good.
Okay.
This is perfect.
It's kind of a weird story. And I was so bad at school that all my friends went to college and I didn't go to college because my GPA was 1.6 because I was never there. And then they all left. I was like, someone was like, well, why don't you start a band? And I was like, oh, that's okay. That's a good idea. And then someone was like, well, why don't you get back into YouTube? These are just random people, friends, random email messages. Someone who owned a label at the time was like, yeah, you should just start a YouTube or get back into YouTube and start a band. I had not thought of that. That did not occur to me. I was like, oh, cool, yeah, great idea. They're like, you should try recording your own music. Again, never occurred to me. Didn't think about that. They were like, you should try writing your own songs. Again, something I hadn't thought about doing. And then I was like, wow, great idea. These are so many good ideas. And then I met people through that, and then met bands and joined them, and yeah. So
Tell us about some of your earliest band experiences, because it sounds like all this is happening when you're still really young.
Yeah. Well, it was tricky at first. Like when I was in middle and high school, like nobody wanted me in their band because I was a girl. Like we don't want a girl lead guitar player, you know. Like the high school boys wanted to be the lead guitar player, and I was like, well, I don't want to be the rhythm guitar player. So then I just wasn't, you know. And then when I got a little older, like 18-ish, at the suggestion of someone who like worked at a label who was like, hey, you should make some YouTube videos and like try writing your own music. I just started doing that and posting some videos of the stuff that I was playing, and that like opened me up to meeting more people in my like tiny little local scene that I was in at the time. And then I was like, we should start a band. And they were like, okay, cool.
Can you remember, I mean, I'm looking at the Strandberg now, and obviously you've at some point we'll talk about the journey to 7 and then presumably 8 string and why you've chosen to play a guitar like this. But can you remember at the time, like who were you, what guitar were you playing, and who were you trying to sort of emulate? You know, who was your hero? Oh man,
okay, so the 7-string thing happened pretty quick into when I started playing. I went to the guitar store and I saw that there was a 7-string Ibanez, and I was like, I thought it was a mistake. Like I thought it was like a factory mistake. I didn't know that they existed. So I went up to the cashier and I was like, why does this one have 7 strings? And he was like, that just is a thing. And I was like, oh, cool. So I sat down and played it, and I was like, this is sweet. I like this. And then I discovered At the Gates and played some At the Gates songs. I don't know if I had like a hero at the time. I didn't have plans or like future ideas. I was just existing.
When you first picked up the 7-string and ultimately the 8-string, do you have, from your violin playing days, I'm not sure, but do you have a good understanding of theory, and you kind of because it freaks me out, 7 and 8 strings. I don't really understand what these are for, and I don't know what the notes are on them or anything like that. So
No, I know nothing.
so all of your playing is just almost a self-taught. If you play something and it sounds good, then you keep it in, and if it sounds bad, you move on and play something else.
Yeah, yep, totally. And that's, I think, why it wasn't scary, is because like I had no preconceived notions about any of this. Like I didn't know that you needed to know theory, or that you should. Honestly, still don't really know theory. I'm trying. It's not great. But yeah, I didn't know what you can or couldn't do, or what you should or shouldn't do. So I didn't like have any barriers because I wasn't paying attention to any of them.
I don't know if anybody was in the Andy Wood interview before, but it's really interesting because he talked about kids having no fear as to why they learn so fast. You know, because they'll just try everything at 1,000 miles an hour and and that feels.
Yeah.
So come on then, let's. I'd like to hear a bit. And what was it that you? I don't know. What was it that you couldn't do on a 6-string that all of a sudden the 7 and the 8 strings are kind of opened up to you?
I mean, I guess I got into it so early, I didn't really know what I could or couldn't do. I just was like, a 7 is more than 6. And then when I saw 8, I was like, 8 is more than 7. And it's a better number. It's an even number. At
what point, though, I guess from 6 to 7, the neck width isn't changing too much. But 7 to 8, it's surely got to really change how you hold the guitar, or were you always quite a classically sort of, were you always playing thumb round the back and it kind of felt not too much of a problem? Or?
Well, I think, so when I'm like moving between 6 and 8, so with 6 I have much more of a grip like this, but I don't pinch. Anytime, like if I'm teaching people, and I know I don't know theory, but I still teach students all kinds of things if they want to learn them. Pinching, you get this horrible cramp in here, so I try to keep it really light anytime I'm doing anything, so I'm not straining for any of them. But with 6, I'm like this, 7, I'm like that, and then 8, I'm like that. So it's just like a reaching thing, if you can kind of...
Yeah.
And I don't think it doesn't change that much,
That's, I'm guessing, again, my experience with Strandberg is your thumb placement is so much more natural on a Strandberg than it is on a conventional. And I guess, I know we're skipping around a little bit here, but was that a big draw to go to Strandberg, which is particularly on the 8-string guitar, it's just so much more natural to play?
So actually, believe it or not, this was also an accident. So
how did you even get to Summit? Was that an accident as well? You thought you were going somewhere else? And
my entire life has just been like a series of me like stumbling into things and then being like, okay, cool, and then falling into other things. So yeah, no, I guess this would be the end result of an accident. But so in 2012 or 13, I had like made a little EP, and I had made like $1,000 or $1,200 off of it, and I was like, yes. awesome. And so I reached out to my friend who worked at a guitar custom builder or custom shop at the time, and I was like, I want to get a custom guitar, because this was like prime internet custom guitar building gear porn land. And I was like, I want to be part of this, as like a kid or whatever. And so I had them spec it out, and they built it, but they built it like with all the wrong specs and everything. And I was like, oh no, that sucks. And he was like, oh, well, we can just give you this Strandberg that we've been prototyping for Ola in the States. They were working on like starting prototyping production models, and they had like one laying around. And they're like, we can just send you that one instead. And I was like, okay, cool. And they sent it to me, and I was like, oh, this is so sick. Oh my God, this is way better. I made a video with it, and then Ola saw the video and was like, oh, we should partner up. And I was like, that sounds great. Like, okay, cool. So that was how that came to be. And yeah, the 8-string thing, like I said, I don't know.
Well, I'd love to hear a little, and I think these guys would as well, because it's not conventional, classic rock, is it? It's a very contemporary style. So if I hold your microphone for a second, do you want to just? I know you've got some a patch on your quad cortex. Hopefully, you've got some sound. But I'm just interested. And then we can sort of talk technique-wise about how that's developed and stuff. So
yeah. So you want me to just play like a couple different little licks?
Everyone want to hear Sarah play something? I think they do. Yes, please.
Okay. Is this loud?
A little louder. A little louder.
I do have I could put like a lead tone on.
Yeah. Did I hear a bit of Van Halen in there? Did I? Just a tiny bit.
I've actually never listened to Van Halen. Sorry, I dropped my pick in that one, so I just used a little whatever.
What do you see when you see the fretboard on an 8-string? Do you see shapes, or is it all just experimental and remembering what notes sounded good? I noticed there was a couple of dual notes that you played with a really unusual interval with them. Almost like quite an uncomfortable or certainly unconventional sort of intervals. So when you're looking at the fretboard, have you got shapes that you can play, or is it all just very much just from previous trial and error stuff?
I think it's both. I think it's definitely mostly shapes. I have or in my head it's kind of maybe like patterns. Mm-hmm. Like I'll know where certain patterns are, and I'll go to them more naturally than other patterns.
Yeah.
And that's why when I'm writing music, I try to not actually start with the guitar, because then I find myself I always go to these same patterns, So I'll start writing on synths and stuff or drums to push myself out of that a little bit, because otherwise I'm just making the same thing over and over again, and then I'm bored, and then anybody that listens is bored, and it's it's already kind of boring because it's instrumental guitar music, and it's you're on that uphill fight to not make it boring.
I am fascinated by and equally inspired as well by the fact that people are trying to push the boundaries of music beyond what would be conventional kind of rock and roll stuff that we've listened to for the last 50 years or whatever. Going back to the Strandberg, is there any other feature on there that you've modified it, or is this very much just a standard Strandberg?
Well, this one in particular is the N2 model they just came out with yesterday. So this is not the one that I painted, but this one, it's so sick. I really love it. I love the teal finish, and they modified the body contours a little bit. Oops. I don't know if you can kind of see that. It's really nice. And the neck on these is, it's bird's eye maple, and then they have titanium reinforcements instead of carbon fiber reinforcements, which is cool. The other stuff is subtle. They did updates to the bridge hardware, and this is now one piece instead of 8 different pieces, which is cool because I would lose these. Yeah, no, this is really nice. If you haven't checked it out, the Strandberg booth has the new N2s available to play. So yeah, they're really fun. I'm spoiled.
No, my train of thought there was again the approach to writing and trying to be unconventional. I was reading, funnily enough, an article and it was Ola Strandberg that had mentioned it, but talking about digital, the quad cortex. And he had a really interesting take that if digital just keeps trying to emulate old existing guitar amplifiers, that in itself gets boring at some point. And his vision for wherever Strandberg was going and digital was going would be to create new sounds and new ways of playing that haven't been done before, which I think a lot of us, and I can see in the audience there's a few people here similar age to me, might be going, why would you want to do that? All the old stuff is great. But I kind of think it is important that new generations of guitar players push things forward. And I think it is important that people take the time with devices like quad cortex to actually try and move away from sounds that are conventional. So I don't know if that resonates with you, or is that one of the reasons why you use a QC?
Honestly, and admittedly, I like all of the above. I like old stuff, new stuff, weird stuff. I don't care. I just like all of it. But like with the quad cortex, it's just convenience. My favorite tube amp is an Engel Powerball 2, and I did run that with like an Orange 412 for a long time. I actually toured. I did 2 like 6.5-week tours with that very long time ago. Never again. My back could not take that, and I can't afford people to carry shit for me, dude. So like. It's like, no, we're not doing this again. So I was like, I don't even care. I'm going to use Modelers Live because it's just easy. Unless I have someone like at my beck and call who's like, yes, I'll carry all this heavy stuff for you. Sure. But that is not the case. So the Modeler's just more convenient. I like it. I like all of them. But I think you can make anything really sound good for the most part, you know. You can get really crazy synthy sounds with tube amps and then even with digital amps and with modelers and using a bunch of pedals or not using a bunch of pedals. And honestly, I was very opposed to like the software, you know, like they have the neural DSP plugins and stuff, and I was very opposed to using plugins for a long time just because like latency, you know what I mean? Even a little bit of latency throws me, and I hate it. And you get latency with modelers too, which is a little bit annoying. But computers have come a long way in the last 10 years. Plugins have come a long way in the last 10 years, and now I'm sold. I just like all of it. I think we are so spoiled right now in terms of like our options, like in terms of technology and gear, that I don't know. I think it's really cool. So.
What do you think the future then holds for you in terms of writing? Is the dream to put another band together and tour it, or is the dream to write and develop your online stuff? I mean, where do you want to go?
I don't know. I ask myself that every single day. And it's tricky. I actually have like 4 albums I haven't released, and it's because my problem is like when they're not done, they're a problem, and I have to solve it. And I love solving problems, and I don't like dealing with things once they're done. So it's like it's done, and I'm like, okay, cool. If I put it out, I'm gonna feel nothing. Like I don't feel anything cool after I finish the thing. I only feel good when I'm doing the thing, like making the thing, which is cursed actually. Maybe it's evil, but. So then I have like all these albums just sitting around, and I just haven't put the effort in to just put them out, which is terrible of me, and it's the absolute worst thing you could do for your career as a musician. And I also hate making YouTube videos, which is also like one of the worst things that you could do. So like,
I feel like the guitar was a bad career choice for you.
There's none of them are good for me. I'm like not built to be here. And so yeah, some days I'll wake up and I'm like, that's it. I'm gonna do the internet. I'm just gonna suck it up. I'm gonna make the videos and I'm gonna play the guitar. It's gonna be amazing. I love playing guitar. Hate making videos. I'll suck it up and do it. It's good. And then the next day I'll wake up and I'm like, nope. I'm gonna be a painter. And then the next day I'll wake up and I'm like, I'm actually gonna do ballet. And then the next day I'll wake up and I'm like, I'm gonna open a furniture shop and build furniture. And there's some kind of mental illness in that. Like that is not in the DSM-5, and I have it. And there's no meds that can treat that. So I'm going to die poor with a bunch of unfinished things. So yeah, I don't think that far ahead.
The next generation will release them and reap all the rewards. Wow, it's normally the answer to that question steers me to the next question a bit easier, but that was tough.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. So 2025, 26, whatever. Hard to know what we're going to do. Have you got any commitments? Are you committed to do some more shows and tours and stuff?
I don't know actually. Maybe. I'll have to check. I hate emails.
Let's go back to some playing stuff then, because I kind of, it's a very percussive style.
Yeah.
has that been from day one for you? That's the style that you played, or yeah? So it's less about sort of chordal sort of stuff, more the tapping and the percussive thing.
Well, I don't know many chords, so it's tricky. I'd make them up sometimes, but I don't know I don't know, you know. But the reason I started tapping it, like I said, I talked about this in my workshop. I was like, innovation necessity is the mother of innovation type stuff. So I was trying to learn necrophagist when I was like 13 because it was really fast and angry, and it was the fastest, angriest thing that I could listen to. And I was like, I love this, but I wasn't good enough. You know what I mean? I sucked. So I would be trying to play the licks and the riffs, and I was like, I can't do this. I don't have enough fingers to do this. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I do, duh. And so I just like put my other hand in there. So it wasn't like I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a tapping guitar player. I was just like, I don't have enough fingers to do what I want to do. And also it's way easier. Like I know it looks really dumb, like how I play guitar looks super weird. I can't help it, but it's super easy. I have no tendinitis, no carpal tunnel. I suffer not at all. So...
Have you got anything, maybe an unreleased tune or whatever that comes to mind that you might want to just play a little bit more so we can just hear a little bit more of what you're doing?
Yeah, but usually this is so bad. I can usually only really remember them if I'm playing along to them. Because like I need context. I mean, I can do some more little licks.
That would be great.
Okay.
Just some cool little licks.
It's like whenever it's just like by myself, like I'm like, you know, it's kind of like Nam hands where I'm like, oh, I don't know.
I thought that was good. Look,
it's part of a song, and then I kind of forgot what happens next.
No,
come to my workshop.
Look, I kind of feel like we're kind of reaching the end of this interview slot here. I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to you play. Is there? I mean, you mentioned you teach as well. Is that something people can contact you online about for online?
Yeah, you can email me. I don't teach theory because I don't know theory, but if you want to learn how to do something, I can give you really unconventional ways to do it that will work with your technique and your style. That's what I like to focus on when I'm teaching people, kids and adults. It's like, because everybody's hands are different, you know, their like intuitive nature is, so I don't try to push my style on anybody. I just try to work with them and what's most comfortable for them so that they don't hurt themselves when they're trying to do what they want to do.
Oh, well, that's good advice. Well, look, thank you so much for
spending
some time with us. Please, round of applause, Sarah Longfield.